Well, we've been speaking about the IT and technology sector, and the strengths there are clear, but there's the other side of the coin, of course, which is industry and manufacturing. And perhaps, Gert, you could tell us a little bit about how the manufacturing sector is performing and the outlook for the coming year, and what Estonia can offer to industry.
Well, one of which we already mentioned is the electronics sector, and we have a very long history in that. And that is also the second biggest export sector in Estonia. I would say that today manufacturing or the industrial sectors are really what's the big business in Estonia. Everything else is sort of the emerging areas. When we talk about electronics, we have some of the big players like Ericsson today, but also a number of small companies with some very innovative products and some considerable product development capability. As also what we mentioned is what they lack is just the marketing ability. This again, as I said, believe that presents an exceptional opportunity for foreign investors, as in they can tap into that talent pool and that innovation that we have in Estonia and take it out to the world. This is a win-win for both of us. When we talk about industrial machinery and metalworking, which is the biggest sector in Estonia and accounts for about 43% of exports, also a very long history and some very competitive niches, like in shipbuilding, for example, and tool making. We have considerable investments in the tool making subsector. And this is an area that will continue to be a target for big FDI companies across the world. And we have investments all the way through America. So when the electronic sector is slightly more concentrated on Scandinavia, the heavy industries are much more international. In addition to that, we have what's linked to the logistics and transportation sector. There's a considerable capability in manufacturing transportation equipment, and this area is also growing today, and we see new investments like from Cargotec, a factory that was just established and was actually launched last week. So this is an area definitely that today is the most active side of business for Estonians.
Douglas, I know that you like to talk about clean tech, so I'll give you a chance to do that. And I also know that you're very tuned in to what companies in this sector are looking for. Might there be something in Estonia for them?
Clean tech, yeah. I mean, clean tech's the big thing at the moment within FDI. It's one of the big growing sectors. It's growing very fast. It's a very diverse sector. It covers a lot of things, and I think from the forestry side particularly, there's potential. I don't know how much is happening, but in green energy, using wood for biomass, like wood pellets, biogas, there's a whole range of technologies that are now being used for renewable energies, and if Estonia's got the natural resources, then that's definitely an opportunity for it, but I'm not sure how big the clean tech sector is.
And also from the manufacturing side of things, we have big companies including like ABB making wind generators, and this is definitely a growing industry in Estonia also, when you look at from the production up to the innovation side.
Well, it's good, I suppose, the Scandinavian connection, because a lot of the big companies, the big technologies in the environmental technology, clean tech, whatever you want to call it, have come from Scandinavia, so you'll be benefiting from that.
Actually, today we don't really separate it that much. We've begun to realize, especially within the Estonian government and obviously the policies that will follow it, is that it's not really Scandinavia and Estonia or the different countries, it's literally a cluster now. It's a Scandinavian cluster, and Estonia is included in that, and clean tech is one of these areas where that cluster is really the most apparent.
I mean, kind of linked in with that, I mean, Estonia is not to be mistaken for a tropical country, and the fact it's cold, it makes it actually quite a good place to hold very large energy-intensive servers. And the increasing development of energy across in Estonia is kind of linked in with that. And one of the reasons why it is part of that kind of Scandinavian cluster is that data security has become a major question globally. And the Estonians are leaders in that particular area. So one of the reasons you will see servers, international powerful servers already are in Tallinn and across the country, is, of course, it's also the headquarters of NATO's Cyber Defense Centre. So I think that, in fact, energy and energy supply for large, heavy-duty servers and data protection are two areas where the country is an acknowledged global leader. And I think we'll certainly see that expanding as part of the Scandinavian data and energy cluster, too.
And that fits in with the very solid IT infrastructure that Estonia has, and the focus on e-business and even e-government.
Yeah.
Well, all of these are underlying factors for great business in the area that benefits from good technological infrastructure. For example, when we talk about digital networks, I mean, the whole Estonia is covered by digital networks. I can get internet where I can't get power. So it would be probably harder to charge a laptop than to actually get online in Estonia. And I've actually experienced this. and all of this is really benefiting industries like, for example, shared services. We have a massively growing shared IT services sector. Anything from call centers to very complex shared IT services. And we see continuously companies coming in, and I think this is also the foundation for the future of the Estonian financial sector, where custody services and shared financial services is really something where we can be extremely competitive. And as you mentioned, I mean, when we talk about the power really does come into play a lot when we talk about servers. But there's also the other end of it is, for example, in Estonia, it's very easy for you to utilize the sort of waste heat that comes from the big server parks. You can sell that again back into the system, and it's all very, very efficient, very interlinked, and thanks to being a small country, obviously, but also because that's just the point of that's the mindset of Estonians, is that nothing is supposed to be wasted, everything is supposed to be interlinked. There's supposed to be synergies across industries.
That's great. I mean, that sounds like one of the big things in clean tech is the smart grids, where they talk about where they use intelligence in the network and everything sort of feeds off each other and it's monitored and controlled. And it sounds like Estonia's got its own smart grid already.
And obviously we can't overlook the fact that security does come into play a lot. And Estonia is the #1 country today in cybersecurity. We have exceptional competencies in this area. Also, this was acknowledged by NATO when they established their cybersecurity center in Estonia. But also, this is really something that goes down to every single business, is that we have that competence, and it's a safe place to establish IT-related or technology-related business that rely on the stability and the reliability of the infrastructure and the systems that.
And Tallinn as a financial centre is not a joke. The reality has been that the banking system over the last 16 years has developed in an extremely innovative way, and we are now beginning to see the emergence of new businesses that have emerged out of the old banks. So we're seeing investment management companies, we're seeing custody services, we're seeing corporate advisory and all the rest of it. So certainly in my own sector, I would say that you can see the competences in data security, data protection, systems design, energy usage, all of it coming together. And that means that I think Tallinn can certainly become quite an important subsidiary financial centre.
The added advantage is that following the economic collapse in the world, the whole banking regime in the world will fundamentally change. We don't necessarily know quite how and how it will be implemented, but when you have a small country like Estonia, it can react with the legislative change very rapidly and can be ahead of the game, where more cumbersome democracies may take months, years to adopt legislation. Estonia, and we have seen it in the past, will adopt major legislation within months. And there are certainly possibilities that many of the tax advantageous countries, which are small countries in themselves, Singapore, Luxembourg, for example, it may well be that Estonia may give them a wake-up call and say, we're ahead of the new game. We have the technology, sorry about the soundbite, we have the legislative framework to achieve that. And that will probably be one of the next major innovations.
This is where the absence of a fiscal drag is so important.
Indeed.
I mean, the efficiency of the Estonian state really means they don't have to charge, 50% tax rates. And that's going to be a gigantic advantage. And within the European Union, you can already see the discussions that are taking place in the last few days. concerning investment structures, hedge funds, and all the rest of it. But in terms of, we said earlier, capital is the most mobile thing. Guess what? There are so many critical advantages that are emerging out of the Estonian economy that I honestly do think that we will see a financial centre of some description emerging there quite soon.
If we go back as little as 12 years and look at the Irish model with which Estonia is often compared, what you saw was an influx of headquarter companies into Ireland
for tax reasons.
For tax, labour, skill, communication, all the things that turn the buttons and switch the switches. And Estonia is in a position and does offer a very similar environment. And although that is my personal opinion, it's one that I know has been echoed by columnists throughout the world.
And by Irish columnists at that.
But that ability, I think that's one of the reasons why we feel, certainly looking back with hindsight, because I don't think we understood this before we really started developing it, was that Estonia matches us as an organisation. Being a sort of a small to medium-sized business, we can be quite fleet of foot in comparison to our competitors. And so sort of the environment that we find in Tallinn now and going forward matches sort of our flexibility and our desire to be entrepreneurial and change things quite quickly. It matches that very well.
There is an agility that comes from being small, whether it's a company or a country, and that's perhaps at the heart of Estonia's success.